For what purpose does the gentleman from Georgia seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have, I'm sure, seen the devastation on TV from the tornadoes. My district, Cook County, is part of Ground Zero. We've had 7 deaths in Cook County. We've had 2 in Brooks County, 2 in Berrien County, 4 in my colleague Mr. Bishop's district, Dougherty County, and I know that we've had 4 in Mississippi as well. I want to rise and say thank you to the many volunteers and the first responders that have been there to provide aid. I want to say thank you to the Americans that have provided your prayers for the families that have been hurt. When I spoke earlier, we had 5 that had been unaccounted for. 4 of the 5 are accounted for and alive today, so we're thankful for that and still trying to account for 1 additional person. Recovery efforts are still going on, and I would ask that you continue to keep these families who have lost so much and the first responders in your prayers. I would like to say thank you to Governor Deal for his speedy response and to President Trump and his administration for their quick response to the tragedy. With that, I yield to my colleague, Mr. Palazzo.
Mr. Speaker, I come before this body tonight with my colleagues from Mississippi and Georgia to offer up our prayers for those whose lives were lost, whose homes were destroyed, and whose neighborhoods were shattered during this weekend's tornadoes across the Southeast. We also extend our deepest gratitude to our first responders, local law enforcement, and emergency personnel for their quick, courageous, and compassionate response in the aftermath of the storm. And finally, I also want to say thank you to the citizens of Mississippi who rushed towards the sites of devastation. Their generosity, bravery, and willingness to help their neighbors gives me hope that our community will rebuild again and be stronger than ever. We will get through this difficult time together, confident in our ability to persevere through any trial, with neighbor helping neighbor, as we begin the difficult work of rebuilding our community following this terrible natural disaster. I would like now to yield to my colleague, Mr. Bishop.
I thank the gentleman from Mississippi for yielding. Mr. Speaker, in my hometown of Albany, Georgia, 4 lost their lives, 4 of my neighbors, due to the tornadoes and the storms that tore through our city. Many more in both Albany and the larger region had their homes destroyed and their lives upended. For the second time this month, our region has confronted the worst that Mother Nature had to offer. However, I am confident that with the grace of God, we will continue to see the best that human nature as we come together as a community to support each other during these very, very trying times. I ask that the members of this House, the Senate, and the administration join my colleagues from Mississippi and Georgia to ensure that all of those impacted by these disasters are provided the necessary resources to recover and to rebuild their lives as soon as possible. In this moment, though it is but a small gesture given the magnitude of the disaster, I ask that this House would observe a moment of silence to recognize and remember the victims of the storms and the tornadoes that struck the southeast region of our nation.